Hello everyone. Today we continue to talk about 丽人行 Part 2. So in the last video we talked about this long poem could be separated to several paragraphs. So we have continued the paragraph 1 today. So in the last video, the picture in the paragraph 1, he's starting depict the scenario at the lakeside, the big parties from a little bit distance. Well, so it point out the time, the festival, March 3rd, 三月三, and the place, in the capital city Chang'an, at Qujiang. The place, the name is called Qujiang. It's a big lake. The royal families, the noble peoples, and even the normal citizens, they went there in this specific date, in this festival. And he also saw the lot of beautiful women over there, and he have a little descriptions from a little bit distance in a glance. And then he further go to describe the clothing, the luxurious, colorful clothings. And today we starting from 头上何所有，翠微盍叶垂鬓唇. Though we continue to go further about the decoration, the clothing things. 头上何所有? What's on her head? So this is a question by the poet 杜甫, and he answered as well. 翠微盍叶垂鬓唇. So 鬓唇 is the jewelry. So just in this diagram, it's the flower-like things covered in this area, and it's go down. So that means 垂鬓唇. And 翠微盍叶describes it's like the leaf with the color of green or the blue green, like the jade. 翠 is the jade. So in this picture it's the red colorful things, but you just imagine change it to the shape like the leaves and the color in the green and blue green. 背后何所见? So the poet 杜甫asks again, what do you see from the back of the beauty? 珠压腰衱稳称身. 腰衱, the belt on the skirt around the waist. So the 珠压, 珠 is a jewelry, normally the roundabout jewelry, could be pearl, could be ruby, or normally it's a roundabout. So the jewelry is on the belt and gave the weight for the belt, because the belt normally is a silk or it's by the textile things. 稳称身, so it tells you the belt was decorated with the valuable jewelries, and it makes looks like 稳称身. It's very stable, 稳称, and also it's fit for the body. It also implies the valuable jewelries is fit for these normal women. 就中云幕椒房亲，赐名大国虢与秦. So the 杜甫write a lot of details, very luxury, very beautiful and colorful things. Normally it's in the very positive sense, but from these sentences you can see he cannot help out his temper, his bad feeling at all, because in the poems or even in the articles, the Chinese are very careful to avoid talking something straight, and especially the names. And now the poet directly point out what's the name of this person he's talking about. actually he's not polite at all, or he pays no respect to the person he described to these beauties. So he doesn't like them, he doesn't like her. So from this point, because he point out directly, so why we can see he point out the person's name directly is 就中云幕椒房亲，就中, so in there, 云幕, something like a temple, but it's a little see-through things, and it's normally for the royal families. So Yunmu also point out the person in that tent is is royal, is very noble person. 交房亲make it the persons more clearly. 交房 normally refers to the queen's house, and later on 交房 becomes the replacement terms to refers to the queen. So with 交房亲, the poet 杜甫 very clearly tell you it's the relatives of the queen. But very interestingly, the person is not the real queen's relative. It's not the real queen. It refers to the Yang Guifei, the most adorable woman by the emperor that time. By the emperor that time, Tang Xuanzong, Yang Guifei. So even she was not a queen, but she has the fame or the more attractions to the emperors, or the positions is in a much better position compared to the queen. So here you use 交房亲, so it's everybody can understand it very easily. It refers to the sisters of Yang Guifei, or the family members of Yang Guifei. 赐名大国虢与秦. So here it's just like point out, hey, you, Mr. Guo or Mrs. Guo or Mrs. Qin. So here is a very, very direct point out. The person in the tent is the relatives. In the last sentence, the person in the relative is the relative of the queen, and they are gave the name as Mrs. Guo and Mrs. Qin. That's the conferred name by the emperor. The conferred name is for the two sisters is Guoguo夫人, Mrs. Guo, and Qinguo夫人and Mrs. Qin. So it's very, very direct. Point out the name of the person he is talking about. That's quite rude. You can think that it is. Or actually here it shows the extreme unlike to the two beauties or the families of the Yang Guifei. Now the food. 紫驼之峰出翠釜，水精之盘行素鳞. So let's see the vessels. 翠釜, so the bowl in the color of jade, blue-green. And the 水晶之盘, so the plate. 水晶 is crystal, so the 水晶之盘 is the plate made of crystals. So that's all the very expensive or it's very rare things you can see in the normal life. It's all the royal family's luxury. And let's see the food. 紫驼之峰, the horn of the purple camel. So that's what's on the history book recorded as one of the very delicious and very expensive dishes only for the noble peoples. So it's from the camel's hump, and the camel should be in the color of purple or whatever. Actually, nobody know what it really looks like or how it's made. But from the meaning, only by the words, it's the hump from the purple's camel. So it's all something very rare. And 行素鳞, so the camel's hump is in the bowl or in the color of jade, and the 素鳞 could be the fish, sort of the fish. Normally it was explained as the white fish. It can also explain as the fishes with no scales. And so the white fish or the fish with no scales in the plate of the crystal plate. So all the vessels is very rare, expensive things. And all the food is also very rare and expensive things. 西煮燕玉久未下，鸾刀缕切空纷纶。虙 is an Asian name for the chopsticks. So the 西虙 is the chopsticks made of the horn of the rhino. Very rare things. 久未下 is doesn't go through the food. So actually it tells the person didn't eat for quite a while. 燕玉 it means they are over feed, and they are quite enough of the food. They are all okay and overeat. 鸾刀缕切空纷纶. 鸾刀, the knife with the bell. So when the using the knife, the bells rings. It's very delighted sound, and this refers to the chef, the royal chef, because they use the very special knives, 鸾刀. 缕切, so they are doing their job. They are using the knife cutting things. 缕切, they didn't stop doing things. So you always hear the bell rings. 空纷纶, so it's all a waste of time, because the people actually they don't eat at all, and no matter how delicious or how rare the food it is, they are quite enough with the food. So that shows how the luxury and how the boring maybe the dinner it is. 黄门飞鞚不动尘，御厨络绎送八珍。黄门 refers to the eunuch. 飞鞚 is a component on the horse, the very nice component used on the equipment on the horse. So 黄门飞鞚 means the eunuch on the horse. 不动尘, though there's no dust. So if you have been to Xi'an, you know the soil or the land is with a lot of the dust if there's no rain for a couple of days. And so the eunuch is riding a horse, but running, but there's no dust. That normally most people think the horse is a very, very good trained horse, and a good horse also is the represents the position of the or how noble the person it is, or how well it is. Just like today, the cars, the cruisers, the private planes you can have. So how it just represent of the people's families or wealth or whatever or positions. 御厨络绎送八珍. 御厨, the royal chef. 络绎送八珍，络绎is the 双生词, so that's one of the characteristics of the Chinese language. We like to use these sort of the similar sounds, double syllable similar sounds to describe a status. 络绎 means it continues and never stop. So the chef, the royal chef, come here to send out the 八珍. 八珍 is 8 different dishes, very valuable or rare dishes. So it here actually refers not very precisely refers to 8 dishes. It just represents a lot of dishes and very rare dishes. So these two sentences, it means the eunuch who should be dedicated to serve the royal families and the emperors, and now they are serving the young families, Yang Guozhong and his 2 sisters. Even they are conferred misses, but still they are not the royal family. And Yu Chu, the royal chef, they come here to send the good dishes never unstop. So this actually is sort of the abnormal things, because the eunuch and the royal chef should only serve the emperor and the royal family. So that's something the poet Du Fu want to point out. It's not a good sign. It's not a normal status. The country is not in a normal status because of the most elite people. They don't behave themselves in the right way. 箫鼓哀吟感鬼神，宾从杂遱实要津。箫鼓, the flute, 鼓, the drum. So this refers to the musical band. That's the big party. So they have the band aside, and the music was so good that it moved the ghost. It make the ghost sad. 感鬼神，哀吟感鬼神. So here actually it's should be a very, very happy atmosphere of the party because it's about eating, the beauty, the drinking things. But for the poet Du Fu, he write it ironically. So he said the music make the ghost sad. It's a sad music. 宾从杂遱实要津. 宾从 refers to group of people. 宾 the guest. So there's a big party. So besides all the beauties, there's a crowd of guests. 从 is the waiters, the waitress follow the guest. So there are all the elite people, the noble people, all the high-ranking officials. They have their waitress or waiters followed with them. So all these 2 group of people, there's a bunch of crowds. They 杂遱, it described the it's a lot of people at the site. So that's the 杂遱 about 实要津. 实 means it's really a very key place. 要津 津 originally it refers to as fort. So the city just beside Beijing, a big city, Tianjin, Jin, which means the fort of the sky. In China, normally the sky refers to the emperor. So Tianjin, when the city was founded, it was taken as the fort of Beijing actually, and it is. So this sentence tells the guests is crowded in this party, and it also implies that the friends of the young family has taken all the key positions in the government. So this make a conclusion of the big parties. There's a big band, music band, and combined with the parties, and also the guest is all noble peoples, and there's so many of them, the guests, and this is really looks like a very key place because so many important guys, noble peoples, stays at the same place. And now we're getting to a new stage of the poem. So we have the beauty, have the party described, and now we're going to the focal point. 后来鞍马何逡巡，当轩下马入锦茵. So 鞍马, the saddle and the horse. Here it doesn't refer to the horse, actually it refers to the person who is riding at the horse. So that person coming late, and it walked the horse back and forth and back, so much. It means he doesn't go into the party when he arrived here. He stayed at a outer place and walk around with his house. So just imagine how the situation is. It's a very happy and big party is over there, and the people, the very key person, they didn't get into the party. He just stay at the door place or outside of the door of the party and walk around and just show off. So the people in other tents or around will notice him. 当轩下马入锦茵. Xuan could refer to the window, and here it refers to the horse car, the only used for the royal family or the emperor. So here he get out the house in front of the horse car, which means he's not polite. He takes a great pride, because normally people will get away from the house in a distance and walk to the host or walking door. 入锦轩, 锦轩 here is colorful luxury carpet, and which normally refers to the bedroom, indoor bedroom, the place for the husband and wife. And here it implies the Guoguo, the latecomers, he get into the very secret place and could have some of the affairs with a woman. So from here you can see that the poet Du Fu himself actually is at the site, and that's why he has so many details, and he also has the scenarios like a vlog. He take a small camera and follow the focal point. So the focal point, the person get off the horse and get into the cabin of another car. So what's the car? Who is in that car? 杨花雪落覆白苹. So we know the key person is the Premier Minister, Yang Guozhong, the people with power, with the most power at the time, and he get into the cabin. 杨花雪落覆白苹 actually is a quotation to a story in the North Dynasty. So it's sort of actually it's a too long story. I won't go further, but here 杨花雪落覆白苹, this first thing it quoted the old story and implies that the Prime Minister Yang Guozhong actually have an affair with his own sister, that against the social moral. And also this sentence also is give you a bit picturesque descriptions. Yang Hua refers to the Prime Minister, so he's over like the snowflakes cover the Baiping. Baiping here implies it's his sisters, his cover. So they are having an affair. They're making love in the cabin. 青鸟飞去衔红巾, and this sentence actually double confirm they are having an affair, because 青鸟 is a blue bird from the fairy tales, and it was treated as a messenger between the boy and girl in love. So it's a messenger for the boy and girls to pass the messages of love or whatever. So here, 青鸟飞去衔红巾, it's convinced it's a love affair, and also it's against the moral. 炙手可热是绝伦. 炙手可热, now it's a four-character idiom, so it normally refers to that something really hot, the something in the net, 网红热词儿, so something really hot and popular. But in this poem, actually, 炙手, 炙 is a barbecue, so or is something use the fire to burn it. 炙手 is the hand was burned. 炙手可热 means the hand was burned and feel the hotness, and this refers to the most power that someone could have, very powerful, with the extremist power at hand. And 势绝伦, the 势 is hard to translate. It could be a status, it could be a position, and anyhow it refers to the Prime Minister shows an outstanding position or the gestures, and he's outstanding from everybody, or even outstanding among the noble people, the royal families. And the last sentence, 圣墨近前丞相称, and this it also directly point out the person. Before that, he was referred as the person coming late, and also he was referred as Yang Hua, the flower of Yang, and now he point out it's the Prime Minister, 丞相, that's the position, his name, that's a Prime Minister. So this also is a warning sentences. Hey, don't come closer to the Prime Ministers, otherwise he will blame you. And that's the final sentences. So this poem actually, the spirits actually is from the Book of Songs. So the poem was used to make the good songs to the emperor, or to blame the emperor. So this song definitely is a song of blaming. The spirit is from the Book of Songs, where the Chinese name is 美次. 美 is to say the good songs. 次 is blaming. Blaming to the emperor, blaming to some of the social things. And definitely this poem is a song of blaming. And it's a little bit different from the Book of Songs, is that the Chinese poems should be, or the Chinese literature, classic literature, should be indirect, especially when you want to point out a specific person. Never write down the name directly. Use something to imply. That's the way. It looks like a very good song at the very beginning. So all the beauties, all the luxury food, the weird food, very expensive, delicious food, and all the tenderness, the royal chef, the eunuch to serve the parties, and everything is in the best status. But the poet can't help to his feelings at 2 points. One is he pointed out the 2 sisters' name, the Mrs. Guo and Mrs. Qin. He pointed out name directly. This is a totally violation to the Chinese way of writing the poems. That's the fury the poet Du Fu had, actually. So you can feel it through he point out the name, and at the last several sentences he point out the focal point is the premier minister Yang Guozhong. He also point out the name directly, not only the family name Yang as well as his position, the premier minister Cheng Xiang. So that shows the extraordinary fury when the poet Du Fu writing this poem. If we remove these things, it's just like a very normal poem describing a wonderful grand luxury dinner or party, royal events, and that's all. And this contrast and this violation to the classic writing techniques makes this poem unique. And also, when the time passed by, we know this time is the most peak hours of the Tang Dynasty, or it's the best time, the last hours of the best time of the Tang Dynasty. Just 1-2 years later, the civil war broke and everything gone. And this just like a vlog kept a very vivid daily life in that most prosperous and luxury time. But the political is so corrupted and so bad. They against the moral, and they also the royal power has been lost to someone else. Okay, that's for the day. It's a long poem. It has so many implies meaningful things, and I just go this very briefly, and hope you can understand how this poem could be treated as a blaming to the society, to the prime minister, or to the royal emperor. Okay, bye bye.